Kanye seems to always be involved in some sort of controversy, with his most recent anti-Semitic remarks getting him featured on every news channel in the world. But anti-Semitism and abject bigotry isn't new to Kanye. In fact, from 2016 to 2018, Kanye had an album planned that would have caused outrage if it ever saw the light of day. This is the story of Love Everyone, the album that was replaced by the now beloved Ye. 2016 was a turbulent year for Kanye, to say the least. While performing for the Life of Pablo tour after the release of his album of the same name, things seemed to be moving smoothly enough. This tour was 41 shows long, but on the 22nd show, things really took a turn. On November 19th, 2016, at the end of his show, Kanye began a now infamous rant, where he ranted at his audience for about 20 minutes before exiting the stage. Kanye's mental state was deteriorating, and he was admitted to the UCLA Medical Center for paranoia and hallucinations. It's important to note, however, he was admitted on a voluntary basis after he was convinced by authorities. This was thought to have been a result of temporary psychosis caused by dehydration and sleep deprivation, with Kanye reportedly being paranoid and depressed throughout his hospitalization, but never receiving a diagnosis during the stay. 11 days later, on November 30th, Kanye was released from this institution. Upon his release, he was working on the, now scrapped, TurboGrafx-16, an album that would feature Kid Cudi, Lil Yachty, Big Sean, and Tyler the Creator, something seen on an Instagram post made by Quavo. But it seems that TurboGrafx-16 went the same way as a lot of Kanye's lost albums, and began to change and morph since his release from the hospital. This was the start of the Wyoming Sessions, the name given by Kanye to songs recorded at his Wyoming ranch, somewhat of a safe space for Kanye as he began his recovery. Many artists were seen visiting Kanye on his ranch, including Kid Cudi, Nas, King Louie, Pierre Bourne, A$AP Bari, Wheezy, The Dream, Travis Scott, and the world-famous Tony Williams. All seemed to be going well, with Kanye getting back to a place where he could safely create new music and get his life back on track after his breakdown at his last show. But the music he was making was not known to the public as of yet. Love Everyone was supposed to follow a 7-track layout, just like Kids See Ghosts and Ye, the album it became, with no official tracklist ever actually leaking. It's safe to assume that at least some of the content of the album would make its way onto Ye, but how much of it, we don't know. The general tone of the album, however, we didn't really know. Kanye had just come off the Life of Pablo with a huge auto-tuned electronic sound, and we really didn't know what to expect from him next. 2 singles came out before the album, with the first being Lift Yourself, followed by Ye vs. The People with T.I. as The People, both releasing on April 30th of 2018. The first single, Lift Yourself, is a nonsensical babbling sounding track with a pretty funny backstory, but that's a video for another day. Ye vs. The People, however, was a track supposed to serve as a rebuttal for some of the public's concerns and criticisms of Kanye, namely the wearing of a Trump hat and support for Donald Trump during his rise to presidency. Love Everyone managed to generate controversy before it was even released, however, as the cover art managed to immediately get Kanye into trouble before any more information on the album was even known. The man depicted in the cover of this album is probably not somebody you would immediately recognize. That's because he was a Los Angeles-based cosmetic surgeon known as Jan Adams. Jan Adams started his career after attending Harvard University in 1977 and graduating from Ohio State University of Medicine in June of 1985. He trained in plastic and reconstructive surgery at the University of Michigan, where he served as chief resident in plastic surgery, as well as completing his surgical training as UCLA's first fellow in aesthetic surgery. It's fair to say, with all that education and even published books under his belt, he was accomplished in his field. But even the best surgeons can't guarantee success after every surgery, and sadly, the death of one patient would be hugely detrimental to Adams' career. That patient was Donda West, who sadly passed away in November of 2007 due to coronary artery disease and multiple post-operative factors due to or as a consequence of liposuction and mammoplasty, procedures undertaken by Adams. Adams claimed on an appearance on Larry King that the publicity he received after this had almost destroyed his career, but also took responsibility for multiple DUI offenses. This wasn't even the first time he had appeared on that show, as on November 20th he appeared, but left during the interview as he received requests from the West family for privacy and did not want to discuss the specifics of Donda West's death. From then on, the DUI cases built up against Adams, and one prison stay later, Adams had his medical license revoked. So why would Kanye use Adams' mugshot as the cover if this is the only connection they have? Well, Kanye claimed he wanted the message of the artwork to be "forgive and stop hating," implying that he'd forgiven Adams for his mother's tragic passing. Unfortunately, Kanye had not consulted Adams on this decision, and he wasn't too happy to have his mugshot publicized on such a public platform. On April 30th, the same day that those two singles dropped, Adams responded to the news of the cover in the form of an open letter, asking Kanye to cease and desist using my photo or any image of me to promote your album or any of your work, while letting him know of his willingness to sit down with Kanye for a face-to-face conversation. Kanye responded to this letter on Twitter saying, "This is amazing. Thank you so much for this connection, brother. I can't wait to sit with you and start healing." This wasn't the real controversy of this album though. Granted, it was a strange and uncalled for thing for Kanye to do. What leaked next was more shocking and confusing than anything else. A snippet known as DJ Khaled's Son leaked online, with a short instrumental followed by "I keep my gun everywhere I go like DJ Khaled's son." This is a clear diss towards DJ Khaled for the time he spent publicizing his son's life, best described in this genius annotation. DJ Khaled, during a certain time period, which spanned the recording sessions for Love Everyone, carried his son Assad around everywhere he went, possibly giving credence to the possibility that he was essentially using his child as a publicity stunt. See Father of Assad and Grateful. Kanye is saying that, like Khaled with Assad, he carries his gun around everywhere, although he probably won't make 2 albums based off the gun. A fair criticism, but the next verse, however, is not something I'm even willing to read out, as it is more of a barrage of slurs. I'll show them on screen now, but rumour has it the original version of Love Everyone, which this was meant for, sounded like if a psychopath tried to make an album. Thankfully, this was the only verse to ever surface, but if this is a snippet into what Love Everyone was going to be, I'm glad it never saw a release. The fact that this album never came out can actually be attributed to Kanye's 2018 now infamous rant at the TMZ headquarters, where he ranted about the drugs he was made to take, the treatment and conditioning of himself, alongside the fact that he seems to think slavery was a choice. It seems that the paranoia coupled with the time that Kanye had spent institutionalized really gave him a disdain for the medication that he was made to take during his stay. If you haven't seen the TMZ rant by now, it's effectively another example of Kanye having a very public breakdown, ranting about things he's clearly passionate about, alongside producing some of the worst takes you have ever heard. It seems that after the exposure and the media storm following the TMZ meltdown, Kanye had a change of heart, creating Ye in the span of 2 weeks. Love Everyone as a whole may be summed up in these lyrics from Kanye's song Wouldn't Leave from the album Ye. I said slavery a choice, they said how, Ye? Just imagine if they caught me on a wild day.